Everybody, well, that was but a clip from a wonderful new production, the very first video biography by Ma'agaganihao, which means come, you're being invited in Guam's native Chamorro, and it makes its debut on Thursday the 22nd. Now, here in the Harmon Studios to talk to me about it are Arlene Steffi, of course, a research associate with the Micronesian Area Research Center, and Phil Flores, who is the Bank Pacific president and has a very vested interest, and
It's my grandfather.
Yeah, I'm sure you enjoyed the play on words with that, being a financial manager yourself.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about the project. Of course, it chronicles the life of Joseph Flores. And Phil, why don't we start off with you, since it is your lineage?
We were trying to get, actually started with the University of Guam Endowment Fund, and annually, of course, they have a fundraising dinner, and they ask for sponsors. And we started off by, we sponsored it 2 years ago, one of the major sponsors. And in return, they were going to put something together with my grandfather. Because it actually started even before that. I was at a golf tournament, I was playing, it was the Guam Bar Golf Tournament, and in my group was Simon Sanchez, we have a very good friend. And we're playing golf, and the Guam Bar has about the best tournament on island, because they have all these little stations that are giving things away. And one of them was the hot dog station. So we went over there were 3 high school students. Where did you go? Simon Sanchez, FD, Academy, I think was that 3. And so we asked them, I said, well, you're students, yeah. They go, what do you do? So I'm Phil Flores. Do you know who the first Chamorro governor was, Guamanian governor? No. You go to Sanchez, right? She says, yes. Who was Simon Sanchez? I don't know. Say, Party, come over here. Tell me who your grandfather was. And that's when I thought, we're not remembering enough about all of the pioneers in our community. And so worked with the OG Endowment Fund. There were a couple iterations that went through and it wasn't working. And then I was thinking, people won't read stuff anyway. They want to watch it. And boom, all of a sudden Arlene Steffi's there going, I think I can do it. And then Arlene, particularly the project, and when she went around and started interviewing people who knew my grandfather, a lot of relatives, people who used to work for him when he started the newspaper. It's a wonderful thing.
Well, Arlene, as a documentarian, as someone who puts together very rich productions and everything like that, what was the most challenging thing in trying to frame the story of who Joseph Flores was?
Actually, for this one, I would say it wasn't hard at all. Mm-hmm. The most difficult part of working on this project is that Joseph Flores was a very private man. And in spite of the fact that he owned the Guam Daily News, he didn't use the newspaper to promote his personal interest or himself. So I would say that we literally had to do scratch on this project, which made it even more fun because I was learning about the man throughout, and so I didn't feel any setbacks, any drawbacks. I was eating up every minute of the interviews. And then when it was all finished and done, I brought our video editor, Fressy Taidagui, and I had her listen to every single interview, which was 18 in total. And sometimes there were maybe 1 or 3, but when it was finished, we all agreed that Phil had to be the storyline. And from his interview, because he knew his grandfather, the most intimately, and so did his sister Lynn, and from there, we used that as the storyline. Mm.
Now, Phil, having thought about your grandfather and shared your own memories of him, and maybe learned a little bit something retroactively, maybe that you didn't know, and maybe through introspection and everything, what have you learned about your grandfather that maybe you didn't admit to yourself, or what has been revealed to you about him and what his contributions to the community?
I think the thing I learned most was about my great-grandmother. It's just a little bit of the video, but one of my 2 Aunt Amas, Big Ama, Little Ama, and they knew more about my great-grandmother than I did, and I caught that in there. But it wasn't so much I learned more about my grandfather. Other than that, it was more reinforced what I knew about my grandfather, and that the feelings that I had about him and what I thought about him were pretty much the same as others who worked for him or other relatives. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty fun.
Okay. Well, Arlene, what would you like people to take away from watching this documentary?
If you don't mind, can I ask the question
Sure.
as if you asked me what I learned?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, please.
I found it very interesting that Phil Flores found the answer about, the one thing that struck me was when I was interviewing him, the family was very candid about this man. Never hid his failings or his weaknesses, but it was actually a strength in every one of them. But Phil, his comment, if you see it in the video, it caught him emotionally. It's like he loved me. And you have to say that about Joseph Flores because he was very professional in everything he did. He had the integrity was always there. He never gave you slack because you're related to him. And I think that's what we learned also from Ama, Dikiki, and Dunkulu, is that they were related, but they had to prove themselves. And I think the individual who had to prove himself the greatest was the one that was going to inherit the business. And so when he was watching this and when I was interviewing him, he caught himself and he goes, I don't do that. And the emotions all rushed back and hit him and it hit me at the same time because I'm living that. I'm living it with them.
That's the best kind of documentary right there when you actually get that revelation. Okay,
Yeah,
well.
and it wasn't so much inheriting the business, it was inheriting the responsibility.
Okay.
And that's what he would beat into us.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course the debut is going to be on Thursday, the 22nd. Where can people purchase a copy, or where can they find one, and how can they attend the debut?
The debut will be at the lecture hall of the University of Guam, and we will be selling the DVDs. We have these DVDs in hand already. We are now bringing them in when we debut because people want them right away. And so we have a special. They can buy 4 and get 1 free, but it will only be for that night. It's $15.
Well, that's certainly worth it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We can't wait to cover it for you. We'll be there.
Yeah.
All right.
Wonderful.
So ladies and gentlemen, the DVD is Ilinatla Magalahi, The Life of Joseph Flores. Please go out and get it. Go to the debut on Thursday the 22nd over at UOG. We will be right back after this.